This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
This podcast is sponsored by AMG Logistics and in association with the Birmingham City Official Supporters Clubs. I'm your host, Craig Courtney, and we're looking forward to the next Blues game and finding out what our opposition fans think. Sit tight and enjoy the next edition of The Away End. We are now coming into week 6 of the season. Birmingham, off the back of 2 defeats now, we're not used to this as Birmingham fans, especially when they come back to back. But we are back at St Andrews at Knighthead Park against a decent Swansea City side at the moment, from what we can see. Blues, as mentioned, go into the game off the back of 2 consecutive defeats, but we're still not really creating chances. In fact, less than 10 shots on goal across 2 games. So 10 in 180 minutes, not pleasant viewing. However, we're sure that we can turn that around and that Chris Davies will get the team firing again. After a narrow 1-0 loss at the Bet365 at the weekend, Chris Davies is definitely going to be looking to have his side bounce back and getting back into positive results, especially as we want to maintain that unbeaten record at St Andrews at Knighthead Park. Swansea coming to the game off the back of 2 wins and 2 draws in the league this season. But I would say, and no doubt come on to at the minute, disappointing at the weekend in conceding in the 97th minute to take a 2-2 draw against Hull City. I am joined this evening by Stephen Carroll from the Jack Cast podcast. So I'm intrigued around the name of this, but Stephen, thank you very much for joining us on the away end. First of all, tell us a little bit about the Jack Cast podcast and especially where does the name come from?
So people from Swansea are known as Jacks. So it's as simple as that, a play on words with Jacks and podcast, really. So, it's been going since 2014. There were 3 of us originally. 2 of the guys that were doing it at the start are no longer doing it. So I'm the only original one. I do it with a good friend of mine usually, but his availability isn't so good these days. So we tend to have a bit more of a rotation now with different people joining me. We try to do it weekly, but as you well know, this division is very demanding.
Indeed.
The quick turnaround isn't always easy. So if we have a midweek game, if we can't record maybe at the beginning of the week or just after a midweek game, we tend to maybe leave it and go into the next week. But we try and do it most weeks, but we haven't done one now since just before the transfer window closed. I was off in Kazakhstan with Wales, so I didn't have a lot of availability. So, I'm looking to do one now this week. So there's plenty to discuss.
Excellent. And of course, we'll come on to the game shortly, but we'll go through a little bit of the record between the 2 clubs. So first of all, when we to look at the games across the years, very much in favour of Birmingham. And it's the first time for a while that I've been able to say that because they've normally been quite close. But of the games that we've played, of which I think there's 45 in total, got Birmingham winning 21 of those. 14 have been drawn, 10 have been lost against the Swans. However, the last 5, my God, they've been 1 minute high scoring, the next minute 0-0s. But we're going in with just 1 win and 4 draws across that in favour of Birmingham going into this coming weekend. Last time we actually played each other was January 2024 in the league. It was a game at St Andrews at Knighthead Park, which ended at that point 2-2. So again, high scoring draw. Tend to be good games between ourselves is the one thing that I can say. And, there's a few that do spring to mind in that. But tell us a little bit then, going into the weekend, what we can expect from Swansea. So where are you positive points since the season started. If you've got any shortfalls, where are they? And most importantly, what can we expect in terms of formation, key players to watch out for? And of course, where is your biggest weakness in the team?
There's a lot to unpack there, I think. Really big positive for Swansea has been recruitment, I would say. We've been, certainly since COVID, there's always been gaps in the squad. We seem to be leaving ourselves short of options. Quite often the first 11 isn't at the standard we're looking for. Then we're having to plug it with square pegs and round holes and just not much depth. But there's been a really aggressive recruitment drive over the summer and a lot of money spent.
Mm-hmm.
So it does feel as if now Swansea actually do have two players for most positions, which I can't actually believe I'm saying, which is quite refreshing. So yeah, when I looked at the bench the other day, I was like, oh, okay, we're in a good position here. And there's still one or two players that are out injured. So we should really be in a good position now. And it does feel as if there is genuine competition for places. Our two top goal scorers this season, Zam Vipotnik, who has done very well recently. I haven't been a huge fan in general. I think he's been one of these that doesn't get in the game much, but I think he seems a bit more lively recently, and he's had his rewards. He scored at his last four appearances, so that's a big positive. Ronald, our Brazilian winger, whose delivery isn't always great, should we say, but his work ethic is. But he's started to score as well, and he's already scored more, I think, this season than last. So that's those are our two big positives. If you'd said to me those two would be our big goal threats before a ball was kicked, I'd have been quite concerned. But to be fair, credit where it's due, they've done well. And the fact is, you look at it now, Adam Ida has come in from Celtic for a big fee. He was on the bench the other day, so Vipotnik has to play well. Manuel Benson has come in on loan as well from Burnley. He was a star for them 3 seasons ago when they won the league very convincingly, really. And so both of those two are going to be chomping at the bit for those two places in the team. So the fact that the Vipotnik and Ronaldo started well, it does bode well, really. But I think that another positive is we're not giving up many chances. Yesterday against Hull was the first time we conceded from open play. Now, unfortunately, that did happen twice, and it's very frustrating that we didn't win that game because, from my point of view, we chucked it away. At 2-1, we were certainly after we'd scored the second goal, we were quite comfortable, I thought. Then there were some poor substitutions with players coming on that shouldn't have come on, in my view. And then the last sub we made was a more attacking midfield player for a more defensive one, at 2-1 up as the board is about to go up for injury time. Now, I can't understand for the life of me why you would do that. And it contributed to what happened. And, I think the other thing is we're not creating a huge amount in front of goal, considering the players that we've got. Only 2 shots on target. They both did go in, but Hull had quite a few more than that. To be fair to our goalkeeper, Lawrence Figueroa, made quite a few good saves. So I think even though we have scored a few, I don't think we are actually that great going forward. It's more about being clinical rather than creating a lot of chances. So you just wonder at that point then how long is that going to go on for? But we are a team that doesn't give much away in general. I mean, that is the first time we conceded two for quite a while, I think. So, that's a positive, but I still think there's things to work on, although we are in a far stronger position than what we were and probably what we have been for a few seasons, really. So I think in general, there is a good mood around the club at the moment, which is great. But there is some frustration, certainly after, if you concede in the 97th minute, it's a bit of a weekend killer, isn't it?
Indeed, and it sounds to me as though what you've got is quite a tight knit team. Hard to break down from what you're describing there. What are the weaknesses, do you think? Of course, I mean, I would say if you have any, but I think every team has a weakness. Where do you think yours are? And is it like you've just said that actually you can score, you're clinical, but you don't create as many chances as you would like? Or are there other areas within the team that are perhaps just coming up to scratch and may still need strengthening in the next window or moving forwards?
I think it is, as you said, really, the not creating enough good chances in games. I think that is the issue. I mean, when I obviously I can't judge every player because some of them have come in late in the day and haven't had enough minutes yet. But on the face of it, it does feel as if the squad's in a good place. There's certainly no glaring issues. Obviously, as you get towards January, you never know what will happen. You might need to bring one or two in, but the summer massively surpassed their expectations for what we've done. So it's the creating of good chances. And if you want to be overly critical, the two wins have come against the teams who were in the bottom two, Sheffield United and Sheffield Wednesday. Obviously, we played Hull, who were also in the bottom six, and we didn't put them away. So, that obviously, when I put it like that, it does sound quite critical, which I'm not trying to be as such, but that is a frustration, I would say. Certainly something that needs to be improved.
And so, how do the Swans generally set up? So, is it a swapping around dependent on the team that you're playing? Or has it been pretty consistent since the season started in terms of formation? I mean, I can honestly say Birmingham have swapped a few things about. I suppose fair to say a lack of plan B sometimes is shown, has been in the past couple of games. But we have got the players that can swap about. We've got the players that can fit into the team. Still a few that to me have still got to show that little bit more already to the start of the season to what we've seen in the past. But hey, perhaps we're just setting expectations very high because of what we saw last season. But how does Swansea set up? What can we expect?
Generally, it's a 4-3-3. It's been like that since the manager has come in. It doesn't really change into a 4-2-3-1 too often at this stage, but there are the players I think there if that's what we want to do. So, but it's generally that is how it is. We haven't really changed it up a huge amount. And like I said, Sheehan came in end of February, or should I say, took the job. He was already here at that stage. He was in on a caretaker basis, and generally that is how we have set up since really. So yeah, I think if anything, it'll change to like a 4-2-3-1. I don't think you're going to see wing backs or anything like that. Really, it's going to be along those lines.
And so, start of the season, what were your expectations? Where did you think you would be? Not just at this stage, but where was your prediction for the end of the season? What do you think can happen? And do you think that the squad, the team, and your structure at the moment is actually good enough to be pushing for those playoffs or even automatic positions? Or do you see it as okay, we're mid-table at the moment, but we're building for the future?
But we finished in the top half last year, which in the end probably surpassed the expectations because we really did have a shocking run at the beginning of 2025, and there was even some worry about getting dragged into a relegation scrap. But to be fair to Alan Sheehan, when he came in, results did improve, and obviously we ended up finishing higher up, and as a result, he got the job from it. So I think before a ball was kicked, the expectation was probably more of the same, hoping for top half, and obviously if we get a chance for playoffs, then great. But then since then, a few more players have come in. And if I'm honest as well, I look at the teams that have come down, and the last few years they have been so strong. It's been very difficult for everybody else really to compete, isn't it?
Yeah.
But they haven't started brilliantly, those sides. And I mean, I look at yourselves, Birmingham and Wrexham, come up with big money. Not had amazing starts. Wrexham in particular have found it difficult, haven't they?
Yes.
So I put that with the fact that Swansea have brought players in, and I think now we should be thinking about getting into the top six, if I'm honest. And I think as well the ownership, although they're not saying it, are thinking the same thing. A lot of money has been spent. I think we're talking up towards a 20 million net spend, to be honest with you, which staggers me given what we've been like in recent years. And I think they've only done that on the basis of they're expecting to get in there. And the fact is, we didn't have a great side last year, and you finish in the top half. If you spend that type of money, surely that you're expecting to get in the playoffs. And I do think it is a bit of a weaker division this year. So, yeah, I think my expectation now is we should be in and around that top six. And I think if we're not, the manager will be in a little bit of trouble as the season progresses, because I don't think this lot are going to hang around. Our director of football got fired this week. He'd only been in for 7 months. I think there's a ruthless streak behind the scenes. So I think Sheehan needs to deliver.
And I think it's interesting because I think that ruthless streak is what you're seeing across the whole of football. Obviously, Sheffield United, worst start they could ever think of after relegation from the Premiership, now losing their manager as well. So it'll be interesting to see whether they pick up. And like you say, people not hanging about, a few bad results, tide turns, owners want to know what's going on. We've spent a lot of money. Let's go and let's get somebody that might be able to come through and do a job. So it is interesting that ruthlessness is already being seen. So it's going to make, I think, on Saturday for a really good game. Another, sellout crowd at St Andrews at Knighthead Park. We're getting used to that now. Guess good following as always from your good selves. Are you joining us up in Birmingham for the 12:30 kickoff? I think a bit of a nightmare time for, but hey, we can only blame Sky for that one.
Yeah, the usual. Unfortunately, there's far too many of them these days, and these kick-off times. But yeah, I will be there. I'm on an early morning train, so yeah, I was there. I've been a few times now. I was there at the 2-2 that you mentioned. That was the last meeting when, ironically, very similar ending to our game on Saturday with a horrible late equaliser from our point of view. But yeah, I'll be there Saturday, and yeah, we've sold out. So yeah, as you say, should be quite a good atmosphere.
And not just that, I mean, since the last time you've been there, well, there's been some changes. So I mean, you'll notice the difference already as soon as you start getting near the stadium regarding the way that they've set it all up. The fact that the away end now has the safe standing and things like this is all fantastic, and it's all because of what the owners are putting into the club and the infrastructure changes that they are making. And it's yeah, hopefully you'll see that bit of a difference as you arrive and make your way up. So we've talked about the team as it is now. We've talked about a few of the games that we've had in the past. I want to test your knowledge a little bit. So across the years, we've had players that have signed either from Birmingham to Swansea or from Swansea to Birmingham. And I'm wondering whether you could name 5 of those players over the years that have made that crossover between the clubs. And also be interesting because there's some good names in the list. How many of them were actually firm favourites that did move from Swansea to Birmingham?
Okay, that's a good question. So I know John Cornforth is one. He was certainly a favourite at Swansea. Slightly before my time, but he was the captain. 150 odd games. We won the Autoglass in '94, and so he was captain at that point. So
indeed,
yeah, he's a big favourite.
393,000 was that transfer fee at the time back in 1995-96 season. So that was an interesting one at that point in time.
Yeah, that's right. Right, I'm guessing here. I think Andy Legg and Jason Bowen have both played for Birmingham. I'm not sure if they've gone directly between the two. You'll have to confirm that one for me.
So one of them did. So Jason Bowen did.
Okay.
And he was a 410,000 signing that very same season, actually, as John Corforth. And yeah, Jason Bowen was loved him at Birmingham. I thought he was a fantastic player. And you mentioned Andy Legg there as well. I mean, wow, never seen a guy throw a ball as far as what he could.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. Yeah, he did have a beast of a throw, Andy Legg.
He did. Phenomenal player as well, though, for such a short guy. And when you first saw him, thinking, God, he's not going to be that powerful or anything else, but phenomenal, absolutely superb. Could whip in a ball, not only a pace and everything else, but defensively was absolutely superb as well. So two players, only one of which though actually did sign from Swansea to Birmingham, and that was Bowen.
I've got one the other way, which is Marcus Painter.
Indeed.
Which is far more from my era. I think that was about 2006-07. Yeah, he was a good player for us until really he injured his cruciate in 2008. and struggled to regain his place after that and ended up leaving. So I think he was a bit unfortunate, really, because he was quite good for us. But yeah, that's football, I guess.
It is, and interestingly, obviously, Painter signed for you on loan before joining on that permanent transfer. And what was a snip at just 75,000?
Absolutely, yeah. That was around that time. We'd started to spend a few quid. I think we hadn't long moved to the stadium where we would never spend money on players, and then all of a sudden, I think we went up to about 9,000 season ticket holders, and then I think the coffers had increased. We started to spend a few quid, and ironically, the ones we were spending the most money on probably weren't as good as the ones we had for around that fee of about £100,000, and yeah, Painter, although he ended up getting released, I think we more than had our value for money out of that. That was a good deal for Swansea.
Indeed, indeed. So you've given me 3 there, 2 more.
All right, there's one that springs to mind, but I've got a feeling you only had him on loan, and then I think he came to us a little bit later, which is Kemi Augustine.
So yeah, he was with us both, but he didn't transfer between the clubs.
Okay, that's fair. There's
But he was
going
one of
to
those
be a
players,
few year
actually.
that
Yeah, he was
there's
one of
going to be
those
a few where I
players.
kick myself in there. You want Jefferson Montero on loan from us? Does that count?
That does count. It counts. It's a transfer, albeit it's a loan, but it is a transfer between the 2 clubs. So yes, Jefferson Montero, 1920 season. So good little good winger when we saw him play. I would say I don't think we saw the best of him during his time,
Well,
but
I've
we
heard
were
that
going for
before.
a ropey time as a club, so to be expected.
Yeah, he was on his day brilliant. His day did not come anywhere near often enough, I'm afraid. And my joke was always, once the clocks have gone back, forget it.
And that, you know, actually,
But
I can kind of resonate with that. You know, one game where you think, yeah, absolutely superb. Let's see this again, and then all of a sudden, it just doesn't turn up the second time around.
well, about 10 years ago, we played Chelsea on the opening day, and it was the game where Mourinho had to go at the doctor. So that's how
Yep.
people will probably remember it. And but Montero had an incredible game. Ivanovic got slaughtered by him, basically. And after that, we were all thinking, "Oh, this is great for Montero. Are we actually going to be able to keep hold of him?" He did not do much after that. So yeah, a frustrating player, one of those with a lot of ability, but didn't show it often enough. So
Fair to say, exactly the same when he was at Birmingham.
yeah, I think that's just him. I think it's as simple as that, unfortunately. One of those players that when they're doing well, the best thing to do is to sell them.
Yeah, make a bit of money on him.
Yeah, get them out while they're doing well, and move on to someone that's maybe a bit more reliable and consistent. But yeah, I'll be honest, I am now struggling. I'm sure you're gonna name me 1 or 2 here, but yeah, off the top of my head, I can't think of them.
Well, I'll put you out your misery because I don't like hanging people up.
I've got one, but
Go on.
I've just got one that's played for both. But again, Bob Latchford, that is. But I think he came to us from Everton, not Birmingham.
Indeed, what a player as well. Absolute legend.
Yeah, I do a fanzine, and I was lucky enough to interview him. It was around the time he brought his book out, so it was about 10 years ago now. But yeah, lovely guy, and yeah, he was very good for Swansea, and even though he wasn't here for very long.
Indeed. Right, so players that have transferred between the clubs then that you haven't mentioned. One of our youngsters, just in the 22-23 season, goalkeeper, joined you as a free transfer, and that was a young lad called Archie Matthews. But
Right, I'll be honest, I would never have got that. But now you've said that, I've actually got one.
Go
You've
on,
jogged my memory. I think we had a goalkeeper off you called Artur Krysiak.
you did indeed.
There we go. I'll take that.
Yes, so in the 08-09 season, and
Yeah,
again,
our goalkeeper had
alone.
a nasty challenge, and we urgently had to get someone in. And I think he played a couple of games, and then we got a more experienced goalkeeper in then. So he didn't play many games, but we were literally desperate, so we just had to get someone.
And not just that, I will say he didn't play many games for Birmingham at all. So I can't comment on him. But some other players that have crossed between the clubs. Jaden Reed is a left winger, 19 to 20 season, joins, excuse me, to Birmingham on a free transfer. Then you got Kyle Bartley, who was a loan transfer
Oh yeah,
in
of course.
13-14. Centre forward in 12-13, Leroy Lita.
Right. He had a few loan spells,
Yeah,
Leroy.
he joined us on loan. You've mentioned Marcus Painter, you've mentioned Corforth, and you've mentioned Bowen. One that I'd have been really impressed, if you'd have got this, is actually the oldest player to have transferred between the clubs in terms of years. And it was back in the 1944-45 season. We had a free transfer in the name of George Edwards, and he joined Birmingham from yourselves. So, but some real great players, and not just those that have transferred between the clubs, but you mentioned a couple there as well that have been phenomenal for both teams in Legg and Latchford. So great shouts on those particular areas. So we come into that point now where we are looking forward to the game on Saturday. Disappointing that it's a 12:30 kickoff, but hey, Sky tell us what to do nowadays, and we have to abide by it. It is on the TV for those that are unable to get to the game. But as we lead up to it, what does your heart say the result will be, and what does your head say it will be?
It's a good question. I do actually think that they might be saying something similar. I think it might be a draw. That's my instinct. I mean, we're not giving a huge amount away. It sounds like you're not creating much. I mean, as I'm saying this, am I talking myself into a 0-0? I might be, but I was thinking more of a 1-1. But yeah, I think it could be along those lines. I don't think that would be a bad result for us. I think certainly would have been a better result had we won against Hull, which we should have done. But yeah, look, I think from our point of view, we expect Birmingham to have a decent season. After an incredibly good season last year, expecting some momentum. Chris Davis is someone that we know of. Was assistant to Brendan Rodgers. Was very close to having our job, as far as I understand. I think it was in December 2023. I mean, my understanding is that I think it was geographical why he didn't take it, which is a standard Swansea problem, really. We're a bit out of the way, but once we get you down here, usually it's well, if the weather's nice, it's not too hard to get you to sign. But yeah, getting you here in the first place is the tough bit. So yeah, he's obviously made a very good start to his managerial career after a long coaching one. So yeah, I think I could see a draw at the weekend, which I don't think would be a terrible result for either team, really. So 1-1.
And I think, yeah, you're not far off where my head is, because we've got to get out the rut of the two losses. We've got this unbeaten record at St Andrews and Naya Park that we want to, continue to build on. So I think what we will see is a team that's set out to be hard to break down. We will have opportunities. I still think we're lacking that little bit up front. We're lacking that, I guess, clinicalness of the pass that can create opportunities. We haven't really seen at the moment a lot from Tomoki Iwata, who last season was just unreal in midfield, and this season just hasn't clicked yet. So whether we'll see some changes to the side that was at the Bet365, I think we might see a couple. Also, of course, we've got Jay Stansfield, who's coming back from injury. We've got Kyogo, who hasn't really taken the opportunity at the moment that we thought was going to come along. We haven't seen that goal-scoring prowess yet. But again, it only takes one to spark a run. But I just think we're going to be on edge. We're going to be a team that's actually going into St Andrews. We'll be feeling a little bit of pressure off the back of those two losses, albeit that they have been against teams that are flying in the league. And also, we have played the teams that have been relegated, bar Sheffield. So to go up against the likes of Leicester and Ipswich already, we've kind of had that baptism of fire that we expected. And I think that's what actually you mentioned Wrexham, they're going through at the moment. So I'm going to go with my head says it'll be 1-1. I think it'll be a tight game. My heart, though, I can't help but think we'll nick it, but I think it'll be a really close game. And it might actually be that there's only literally a single goal in the game. That at the end of it may come for me, and I believe will come late on in the game. I don't think it'll be one that's early doors because neither of us will want to concede early. And I think we'll both be set up to, like I say, nullify each other. So it's going to be a good game either way, as they all seem to be at this present moment in the Championship. It's, every team is capable of beating each other, which, as a fan, we all love, don't we? And it's I can't help but snigger, unfortunately, at the Sheffield United situation. The team that were coming down and decided they were going to go and run away with the league. They might run away from the league, but it could be going down rather than going back up. So, Stephen, thank you very much indeed for joining me to go through the game against Swansea. This, at the away end, is in association and sponsored by AMG Logistics. We are also directly in association with the Birmingham City official supporters clubs. Details of the supporters clubs can be found by looking online at www.bcfcosc.com. Look for your local club, or it will show you the one that is closest to you. And not just that, have a look out on the screen for details of how to join. Stephen, thank you very much again. Looking forward to a great game on Saturday, albeit 12:30, but it's still a game of football and it's still 90 minutes. So thank you very much again for joining us. I'll sign off by saying, keep right on. Thanks a lot.
No problem. It's a pleasure.